In a quiet, wooded stretch on the outskirts of a rural town, where pine trees sway gently and streams whisper secrets to the earth, nature revealed what a man fought so desperately to hide. This is not just a story of murder, it's the story of arrogance, of a killer so sure of himself that he believed the forest would protect him. But nature doesn't keep secrets forever. Today on True Crime Hub, we uncover the chilling case of Matthew Crane, a man who thought he buried the truth deep enough to be forgotten, until the earth itself rejected his crime. Stay with us as we unravel a dark tale of betrayal, false confidence, and justice unearthed by nature's relentless grip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more emotionally gripping true crime stories that expose the truths hiding in the shadows. Samantha Pierce, 28, was a bright, outdoorsy freelance writer who disappeared after a weekend trip to the Appalachian foothills. She was last seen on Friday evening leaving a small grocery store, planning to spend the weekend alone at a rustic cabin she rented often to write. Her final texts were light, filled with optimism about finishing a draft of her nature memoir. When she didn't show up for a Zoom call on Monday and her phone went straight to voicemail, friends grew concerned. Her best friend, Erin Tilley, tried calling 5 times before contacting Samantha's parents. By Tuesday, a missing persons report was filed. Local authorities organized a search, but Samantha was nowhere to be found. At the cabin, nothing looked out of place. Her overnight bag was on the bed. The tea kettle was still warm. Her journal sat on the nightstand, open to a page with a sketch of a nearby trail system. Her hiking boots were missing, suggesting she'd gone on a walk. But she hadn't returned. The disappearance made local news. Volunteers gathered. Drones were flown. Dogs were brought in. Still, the forest gave up no clues. Cue Matthew Crane, her ex-boyfriend of 4 years. A quiet man with a love for hiking, a brooding temper, and a history of jealousy. He claimed he hadn't spoken to her in weeks. But something felt off. Samantha's best friend, Erin, makes a quiet call to police. She told me, if anything ever happened, look at him. Matthew Crane wasn't always a monster, at least, not on the surface. When he and Samantha met in college, he was reserved but attentive. Over time, that attentiveness turned into surveillance. He grew possessive, questioning her texts, tracking her location, and isolating her from friends. Their breakup, 6 months before her disappearance, had been messy. Samantha moved towns, changed her number, even considered a restraining order. Erin had saved dozens of voice notes from Samantha, detailing her fear of Matthew's unpredictable moods and manipulative behavior. Detectives pulled Matthew's phone records. Despite his denial, there were dozens of deleted messages to Samantha's old number, and GPS data placed his phone near her cabin the weekend she disappeared. When questioned again, he claimed he had gone hiking in the general area but hadn't known she was nearby. Surveillance footage said otherwise. A gas station camera caught his truck headed toward the forest at 4:43 a.m. Saturday morning. Investigators find a deleted note on Matthew's phone. If she won't listen, I'll make her. Search dogs returned to the area with renewed focus. Cadaver dogs paused near a steep incline by Blackthorn Creek, a place known for landslides after heavy rain. Nothing turned up, yet. But nearby, a local wildlife camera offered a breakthrough. The footage, intended to monitor black bears, showed Matthew walking into the woods alone. He carried a shovel. The timestamp matched the Saturday she vanished. But no one could find what he'd done there, until the rains came. A thunderstorm hit the mountains 1 week after her disappearance. The once stable slope near Blackthorn Creek washed out. Tree roots gave way, and deep in the forest, 300 yards off trail, a piece of bright pink fabric floated to the surface. It was Samantha's rain jacket. A hiker's golden retriever barked wildly at a mound of freshly disturbed earth. Beneath it lay Samantha's body, carefully wrapped in a sleeping bag. She had been struck on the head, likely by a rock. Nearby, blood-stained stones, plastic ties, and a camping knife engraved with the initials MC. Matthews. He thought nature would keep his secret. But nature rebelled. The rain had washed away his footprints, but not her journal pages, partially buried under leaves nearby. In Samantha's own handwriting. I keep hearing snapping twigs outside. If it's an animal, I'm not worried. If it's him, I'm terrified. I saw someone in the trees today. I think it was Matthew, but I don't want to believe it. If anything happens to me, it was him. The final entry. I left my journal here in case I don't come back. Investigators were stunned. They weren't just dealing with a disappearance. This was a premeditated act, and the victim predicted it. An autopsy revealed she was alive for several hours after the first blow. Matthew was arrested outside his workplace. Calm, detached. He said nothing as officers handcuffed him. At his home, they found maps of the trail system, a list of supply items he'd purchased, including gloves, duct tape, and a tarp. He'd bought them one day before Samantha vanished. In custody, he refused to talk. But the evidence spoke volumes. At the press conference, the sheriff stated he thought he knew the woods. But he forgot the woods know him too. Samantha's parents released one photo to the media, her standing on the same trail 6 months before. Smiling. Free. The trial began 6 months later, drawing large media attention. The prosecution painted Matthew as a manipulative, jealous ex who couldn't stand Samantha's independence. They presented the journal, GPS data, wildlife footage, and expert testimony that traced the exact location of her grave based on soil matching. The defense attempted to undermine Samantha's mental health, claiming she may have staged an accident. But the autopsy and timeline demolished that theory. Every word in Samantha's journal echoed in the courtroom. The jury watched silent footage of Matthew walking into the woods alone, and returning alone, hours later. Then came the prosecution's final witness, Erin Tilley. Erin's testimony was powerful. She shared how Samantha had changed, grown afraid, started locking her doors, slept with pepper spray. She read aloud Samantha's final text. He always said he knew how to disappear someone. If I go missing, it wasn't random. Jurors watched Matthew squirm for the first time. Erin looked him in the eye and said, "She was scared of you. You took her light." On cross-examination, Matthew's attorney asked Erin if Samantha had ever expressed thoughts of harming herself. Erin replied, she was writing about survival. She wanted to live. After 12 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. During sentencing, Samantha's parents delivered an emotional victim impact statement. Her father spoke through tears. "You thought you buried her where no one would find her. But the world loved our daughter too much to forget her." Matthew received life in prison without the possibility of parole. He showed no emotion. But what the judge said next stunned everyone. The judge addressed the courtroom. "Mr. Crane, you believed in silence. But the forest spoke. You believed you could outwit nature. But it outed you." Samantha's family returned to Blackthorn Creek months later. In a clearing near where she was found, they planted a dogwood tree, her favorite. A small plaque reads, "Here, the earth spoke. Here, justice bloomed." Matthew Crane believed he was smarter than everyone else, that nature would keep his secret. But in the end, the rain, the roots, and the river conspired to tell the truth. This case reminds us that the earth sees all. It hears all. And sometimes, it fights for those who can no longer speak. If this story moved you, please like and share it to keep Samantha's memory alive. Subscribe to True Crime Hub for more stories where truth refuses to stay buried. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never underestimate what nature remembers.